Hi and welcome to the very first episode of Python Bonanza. I'm Joachim and I'm so happy that you are here, and I'm looking forward to do this now on a weekly basis with you. So the idea for this channel is that you send me questions regarding Python or something in Python and I will try to answer them. So if you have a question that you want featured here, then send me a mail on this email address that you see on screen now. It's also in the description for this video. So let's get started, because I'm very pleased that I already have quite a few questions in my inbox. When I looked through them, I saw that quite a few of them was about lists. So I thought, let's do this very first episode to be about lists and different things that you might think about and have questions about when it comes to lists. So the very first question here is from Gail. And the question is, for a list, let's say we have apple, banana, cherry, so 3 strings in a list. I want to find an item, say banana. How do I get its index? And that will be 1 in this case in Python. So how do we do that in Python? So let's head over to the editor and have a look and see what it could look like. So here I have this list that we had in the question. So apple, banana, cherry. So I stored that list in a variable called fruits. And the obvious answer to this would be to say that, well, list has an index method, so you can use that. Just call it with banana, you will get the position. So if we run this, we will see that we should get 1. And we see we do. So we get 1 here. So that is the answer to the question. But it's not really everything there is to it, because let's comment these 2 lines out. So we'll keep the original list here, so we have it. So let's scroll down. So if I try to do this, so now I'm looking for something that is not in the list. So I try to find the index for a pair, and we see it's not in the list. So if I do that and run this, we will see that I will get a value error because it's not in the list. So if I try to search for something that is not there, or if I don't know if it's there or not, what I should do is I should check to see that it is actually in the list first. So I can do it with this if statement. So it's a if pair is in fruit. So if it's there, then I know it's in there somewhere. Then it's just a question of where, so I can go ahead and ask for the index for that here. So now I'm sure I will not get a value error. But if it's not in there, then I will come into the else part, and in this case I will return -1. So an index, a negative index, could in this case indicate that we didn't find it. So then we can go ahead and check that pose is 0 or more, then we know everything is fine. But we don't need to get this value error when we do that. And also these 4 lines can actually be shortened a little bit. So let's comment this out. So this is the same thing. So instead of 4 lines, we just have 1 line here. So in this case, we say that pose here will be the index of what we are looking for, but only if what we are looking for is in fruit. If it's not, we will assign -1 to it. So it is actually exactly the same thing as we had up here. It's just condensed down into 1 line instead of 4. So if we run this now, we should see that we get -1 in this case. So we see we get -1. And if I check for banana, as the question said, and we run it, we see that I do get 1, +1 now. So I get the index for it. So that is how we will go ahead and find something in a list. with the help of index. So that is what we do. So I hope that answered your question again. The next question comes from someone called Lamok, and the question has to do with sorting lists. So let's see what the question is. If I want to sort a list of integers, I can either use list.sort or sorted parenthesis list. So what Lamok means here is that list.sort, it means that we'll have a list object of some sort, and then we do the dot notation. That means that whatever comes after that will be a method. So there is a method on list objects that is called sort. So that is one option we have to sort something. And then we have a function that is called sorted, and we can pass in the list. So the question is, I don't understand when I should use one instead of the other. So yes, Lamok, let's have a look at this as well. And I have actually prepared a little code here as well for this. So here I have created a list of numbers in some sort of random order, so it's not sorted. So store it in numbers. And then, as we can see here I use this sorted function. So I have there is a function called sorted, and I can pass in the list to it. So what sorted will do, it will not sort the actual list numbers. It will create a copy of it and make that one sorted. So it will not change the original list. And we can see this now because I have this copy stored in numbers sorted. So we'll print that, but then I will also print the original list, so we can see that that has not changed at all. So let's run this, and we can see that numbers sorted, the copy, is indeed sorted, but the original list is unchanged. It's exactly the same as it was from the beginning. So that is what sorted, the sorted function, does. Then we have the sort method, and here I use that. So we see I have my original list, numbers dot sort. So what this one will do is we'll actually go ahead and sort the original list and change that one. So if we run this now, we'll see that first we print numbers here, and we see it's unsorted. Then we sort numbers, and we will see that now numbers will be sorted. So the difference between the two is that list, whatever name it has, dot sort, will change this list and make it sorted, while this sorted function will take this list and don't change that, but will give us a sorted copy of that. So that is the difference between the sort method and the sorted function. Then the last thing I'm going to talk about today is actually the two persons who asked more or less the same question here. So it's Omo and Joel AG12. They asked, what is the difference between extending one list to another and appending one list to another? So lists have two methods. One is called extend and one is called append. So the question here is, what is the difference between the two? So let's have a look at that, and we will see that also in this case we will have a little twist on things, as we very often do in Python actually. So here you can see I have two lists, so they're called A and B. So in A we have 1, 2, and 3, and in B we have 4, 5, and 6. And then I say A.extend B. Okay, so what this will do is it will change A. So if I run this, we will see in what way it changes A, because I print A here, not B. Print A, and we can see that A did contain 1, 2, 3, but now it contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it extended A with the contents of B, making a bigger list. So it's still one single list, but it contains all the values from both A and B. Okay, so let's comment this out and let's look at append instead. So I have the very same two lists here, but now instead of saying A.extend, I say A.append. And let's just run this and see the difference here. And we can see immediately that something happened here, because the original A contained 1, 2, and 3. It's still there, but then we appended B to it. So what append did was it took B as it was and inserted it as one item at the end. So B was a list with 3 values. So the 4th item in A is now a list with 3 values. So it took that, it didn't extend A with the contents of B, it appended the whole B as it was inside A in this case. So that is basically the difference between the two. Now, you could argue and say that, well, if I don't want to change A and I still want to extend them, what I could do is this. So here we see we still have our 2 lists A and B. So I just add them together with the addition operator here and create something new, C here. So if we run this, we will see that indeed this works exactly as extend did. So C now contains all the values, but we haven't changed A, we haven't changed B, they're still the same. And C is now a new list with all the values in it. Now this is all fine, and this we can do this if we don't want to change either A or B. But this could potentially have a problem. So let's say, let's get rid of this one for now, remove it down. Let's say I want to do this, and like that. So we can see A is still a list with 1, 2, and 3, but B is now a tuple 4, 5, and 6. And then I try to add them together in the same way as we did up here when we had 2 lists. And we will see that this will not work, because here we will get a type error, because I cannot concatenate or add a list with a tuple. I can only add lists to lists with this. So if I'm not sure that both of them are lists, then I could run into a problem here. So this will not, so if we just, oh come on, if we just comment this one out and instead bring this up where we did extend, we will see that extend doesn't have that problem, because extend can actually work on anything that it can iterate over. And so it works just as well with the list as a tuple. So let's run this and see that, yes, in this case it works perfectly fine. But we will here change A. So A contains all the values from A and B now. But if we're not sure what the types are here, extend is safer than doing just an addition between 2 sequences. Now, there are situations, so let's get this one down a bit. There are situations where we don't actually want to create, I can remove this for now as well. We don't want to create a new list in this case, or a new sequence of any sort. We just want to go through everything that is in A and then everything that is in B. So here we can see that, and in this case we can use iter tools. We can import iter tools and use chain for that. So here I have it in a for loop. So I would say that take everything from this chain, and the chain is from A and from B. So what this will do is it will iterate over an item, or iterate over these 2 sequences item by item, and then inside the for loop here we will print the item, a space, and this here is just to make sure that print doesn't change line every time. So I want all the results on the same line. So what this will do now is it will take the first sequence and get the first value 1, put it into item, print that. Then it will continue with the next one in A, that is 2, and print that, 3, print that. Now it is finished with this sequence, so it will continue with the next one here, that is B. So it will take 4 from B, and then 5 from B, and 6 from B, and so on. So if we run that, we can see that we get all the values here in a sequence. And the nice thing with chain is that it can actually work with as many sequences as we want, and it doesn't have to be of the same type. So if I have a string ABC here, it will actually continue with that one at the end and take it character by character like this. So this is if you don't want to have an actual copy of everything. We just want to go through whatever we have at some point. We could, of course, also use this. So let's comment this one out. We can also use this for if we want to have something. So let's say I do want a list of all these items that we got from this for loop up here. Then I can use a list comprehension. So this is a list comprehension. And we can see that from two things. First of all, we see that it's surrounded with square brackets at either end here. And inside of it, we do have a for loop. And this for loop is actually exactly the same as we had up here. So it will go through the first sequence, the second sequence, and then third sequence being ABC. And for each thing it gets in item, it will put it here. And what's in there will go in a resulting list. So that is a list comprehension. So it will create a list from this. So if we run this now, we print the result, we will see that now we will have a list with all the things in it as one item each. So the contents from A is here, the contents from B is here, and the contents from the string ABC is over here. So that is how we can do that. So that was all I was going to cover in this very first episode of Python Bonanza. I'm happy that you stayed here all the way to the end, and I hope you thought it was interesting, and I hope you're really looking forward to see more episodes like this. So please send me emails. Please subscribe to the channel, like it if you like the contents of it. I don't want you to miss the upcoming episodes because I think they will be really good, interesting and exciting. So it is up to you what we will cover here. So send over the questions and I will try to answer them. Goodbye for now.